a map that we haven't casted this entire qualifier is in it. Game 2 is going to be on Stargazers.
Game 2?
Game 2.
Game 2?
Oh my god.
The minute you said a map that we haven't seen yet, I was like, oh, okay, Stargazers is going to be our ace match. That makes sense. But it's Game 2?
It's Game 2. Yeah, Inside and Out was vetoed alongside another map. I can't quite recall. I'm gonna have to look again. I did see Tropical in it. But yeah, I'm shocked.
I'm shooketh. Oh boy, anyway, we are going to be jumping straight into this best of 5 qualifying match here on Data Under the Sea. In the bottom left-hand corner map, starting all the way in that bottom left-hand corner, we of course have our red Zerg player coming down from the lead of Riz Bane. He is going to be representing our very own team, the CranKy Ducklings. He is Oreo.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Data Under the Sea, we have the Australian Terran player himself representing Team Mindfreak. It is Seither.
Game 2?
Game 2. They're crazy, Papi. They're crazy. Oh my god, so look forward to that, everyone, for game number 2. But for now, we're here in the first game. And if you remember, last time we were on Data C with Oreo and Seither, it was a bit of a more brutal series where I believe Seither had a bit of a hard time in the early game, had to kind of give up map control, was stuck on these 4 bases, and had a hard time expanding, had a hard time dealing with the constant Ling Bane aggression from Oreo.
Yeah, it's coming back to me slowly. I remember Mass Ghosts at one point for Seither. A lot of tanks, and a lot of tanks that unfortunately weren't really spread out very effectively. He had something like 8 or 9 tanks defending the Rich Vespine base, and then only 3 that were defending the third base location. So of course, that's just a base that Oreo hammered down over and over and over again.
Exactly, until eventually Seither crumbled under that pressure, specifically this triangular third, whereas Seither was expanding on the left-hand side instead. So it was a pretty intense series. But again, I'm sure Seither was able to learn from his mistakes there. I'm sure he is more well-rested getting into his second series against Oreo in 2 days. So yeah, we'll see how this turns out here. So far, we do have some pretty standard openers. We do have our 1-1 from our Seither. We have Hatch Gas Pool from Oreo.
Yeah, saving the Roach Rush for, a map where that's more effective, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to be seeing that later on, maybe on Stargazers.
Oh, potentially. It's dominating my mind right now. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. We still do have map number 1 here on Data C, but I mean, how many times have we casted Data C, right?
I know, like we've casted Stargazers a handful of times, mate. Like it just doesn't happen. I think Steel's casted it more times than we have, just because we force it in our amateur events.
Otherwise, we're never gonna be. Otherwise, we're never seeing that map played.
Exactly. But alas, for the time being, we do see Seither going for a straight-up 1-1-1 opener, no fast third CC. So Seither looking to be a little bit more aggressive here.
Yeah, already the Hellions are being pumped out. He really does want to dive on top of the middle line as quickly as he can. He wants to get a bit of a...
Ooh.
He wants to get ahead early on by dealing damage rather than by just building workers. I like what I see with that Fusion Core Light.
Yeah, exactly. We do not see an add-on switch here. We do finally see the Tech Lab on that rack. So because there's no add-on switch, we are not going to be seeing a Banshee. We see a Viking first to deny any kind of vision, any kind of scouting. And we'll see if Oreo, with his magical lings, can get in and see the Fusion Core.
Fortunately, those lings were not lubed up enough, or maybe they were so lubed that they were extra flammable.
Yeah, they call fire.
Yeah. too much friction. No, wait, Luke does the opposite.
Not enough friction there as Oreo's Ling and Overlord get taken down. Now he's fully aware of the 1-1-1. Let me say that at least as a Ling. Oh my god! Ooh.
Doesn't quite slip on in, but he does see the research, fake out research on that barracks.
Yaku, it's a second starport.
Did Oreo see the second starport actually?
No, he didn't see the second starport. He saw the one starport and he saw Stim on the way. He doesn't know, Bobby. Okay, so earlier today, Runamuk did this against Peppy, but Peppy was able to get in with Lings and Peppy saw both starports. So he was able to prepare very well for the 2-port BC. Oreo has no idea.
Uh-oh. He has a couple of small callers now, but he is delaying his queen production. He's getting banelings because he thinks it's a 1-1-1.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a Hellbat push for all he knows, you know? Like, he's just being safe, he's getting ready, he already has the lair. We should be seeing, there we go, baneling speed on the way. We have double Eva Chamber for 1-1. We're not ready to go into Aspire right now. And looking at the units, we have 7 queens. That's fine for Hellions, but that is not fine for 2-port BC.
And it's especially not fine for Hellions and 2-port BC.
Exactly. I mean, Seither has to be careful. He cannot throw away these Hellions. Right now, he wants to go for a multi-prong attack. At the same time, Oreo is going for a Ling run by here with his, Ling Bane run by here over on the other side of the map, but we don't even have a third CC, mate.
Yeah, we do not. I mean, I guess the Banelings could bust in through, naturally, and the Lings could get damage done. In the middle lines, the Lings were looped up, and they were able to slip on past the Hellions. He forces every single Hellion that Seither has on the map back home. The Lings will get roasted up here, but once again, Oreo has not scouted the BCs. Really love the position here of this Liberator, just to zone away the Queens.
It's forcing transfuses right now. Like, the Queens deal with the Liberator, but that did cost 2 transfuses. The Spore will go down in the main base. The BC is going ham. At the same time, we have a massive Hellion run by here, and unfortunately, Oreo did throw away a lot of his Ling Bane earlier.
Yeah, a couple of Banelings will connect with the Hellions, but nowhere near enough IMO. 5 drones already going down, and this is so much lost mining time right now for Oreo.
Yeah, and you know what? The Hellions, they want more damage. They're thinking about going straight into the natural base. At the same time, we have the second BC teleporting across the map. The Spore has been replaced, but maybe we got 2 BCs. We have a Spire on the way. Spire is hidden in the natural.
And the Hellions have at least now been dealt with, but what about the BCs, though?
And what about the BCs? It looks like they're going to be going for that mineral line. Drones are falling left and right. At least the Spire will finish. It wasn't scattered, so the BCs weren't able to dive in and try and focus it down and try and force a kill or a cancel. But here comes that third BC on the way here into the main base. 16 drones already going down. Seither ahead in the workers.
Yeah, but not by too much here. Oreo, it looks like he is holding. He is starting to stabilize. And as Wise Man once told me, like, if you do 2-port BC, and you don't kill the Spire, you're just dead.
Did Asher say that?
He did, actually.
Yeah, of course he did. Well, I mean, yes and no, because like Oreo still did sustain a lot of economic losses. Because of these corruptors, though, Oreo will be able to defend. He will be able to force all this back. The BC damage has been stopped, but Seither is taking a third base from here. So yeah, we're in a really interesting position. Seither was able to keep all of his BCs alive. He now has 4. He's about to have 5. He's about to have Yamato, and he is going into mech.
Oh boy. Time to strap ourselves in.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a long best of 5.
Yep.
Oh god. After all said and done, again, this could have been a lot worse. It could have been so much worse if this Spire had been scouted, or if it had been targeted down, but Oreo has been able to stabilize his re-droning, working on his upgrades, the ones that of course he was missing earlier because of those corruptors. And now we have a moment to breathe for our 2 players. Seither taking advantage of this moment of like kind of silence and taking his 4th as well, double expanding.
Yeah, may as well. He does have the map control with his BCs, and I was going to say with his Hellions as well, but yeah, it's also the BCs that allow him to have this map control. Oreo knows that Seither has to be a little bit more passive, though, so he himself not hesitant on getting his 5th base.
Yeah, 5th base is thrown down here for Oreo. The 4 BCs are going to be sharking around. They do have 5 Yamatos available and teleports as well. So with good enough micro and good enough control, Seither should not lose any of these BCs. We have 10 Corruptors and Queens to meet them though. So again, they shouldn't deal too much damage. We should just be seeing some Yamatos and then some teleports.
Yeah, that's the hope here, or just teleport. These BCs were spooked by the Corruptors, you know?
Yeah.
We're quite expecting to see them there.
C3 just didn't want to risk trying to go for any Yamatos there. Wanted to make sure he saved every single one of his BCs. And that will give Oreo even more breathing room and even more control. We have more Corruptors being thrown down, more upgrades. Oreo working up towards 90 drones.
That's the late game amount of drones that you want here. Getting into our late game economy for both players very, very shortly. It's mostly about the tech at this point.
Ooh.
The Corruptors are going to do really well against the BCs, and while they won't do much against the ground army, getting a Great Aspire from here is always an option for Oreo.
It is an option, and because of the 2-port BC, we still have continued BC production. So this is going to be a really interesting style coming out from Seither. Oreo is tracking around trying to find some damage. Isn't quite able to find a way in yet because of these turrets, because of the BCs in general. And that BC count is getting pretty high. We're about to have 7. And we're not going to stop.
You love to see it, or at least I do. 200 BCs with 3-3, that is the dream.
Someone at Kronos, mate.
Yeah.
Oh god, here we go. We have a bit of a blue flame Hellion run by 5, 7 drones, 8. Oh my god, can we get another volley?
We do get another volley. 10 drones go down. Can I get 11? We cannot get 11.
We cannot get an 11 at the same time. Seither coming on in. We do have a Yamato coming out before we see the teleport. 14 drones in total do end up falling. Very nice damage here. Seither once again taking a lead in that worker count. And now finally, we have hit 7 BCs, and this is where we have stopped our BC production. We are content with 7.
Yeah, magic number, lucky number, as
True.
they do say. Did that Yamato get cancelled earlier?
I think one Yamato got off. Maybe?
Teleport? But,
Maybe.
we'll have to... Yeah. We'll have to check the VOD, but for now, Oreo is starting to move into this 4th base location. Surprisingly, there aren't any planetaries here, but there are still a ton of tanks. The BCs are providing a lot of additional support, especially with their Yamatos. Corrupt account slowly and very steadily, actually, starting to go down.
Yeah, it is dwindling, mate, because they tried to dive on in. It looks like they got 1 BC, sorry, they got 2 BCs, but we had a mass repair on them. With the help of those SCVs, the Corruptors could not break this position. Seither does hold.
And he holds without taking any economic damage whatsoever, and trading very efficiently against the Roaches and the Corruptors of Oreo.
Exactly, but you know what, Oreo, he has stopped Corruptor production for now. He is going for double Spires, for double upgrades, but he's focusing a lot more on Ling Bane of Roach Ravager. He knows that really what he wants to do is break through the defensive line, break through the ground army, especially without planetaries. Like, these bases are quite vulnerable.
Yeah, these tanks are pretty much going to have to stay stationary, you know, if he's giving up planetary fortress production. Well, the 5th base, however, will get sniped down by these Corruptors. There are no SCVs to repair. That's just a nice little snack here for these Corruptors.
Yeah, nice pick off here from Oreo, keeping Seither on these 4 bases. We talk about it all the time, but on Data C, it's all about whether or not the Terran can establish a 5th base. It is so crucial, so important that happens. Meanwhile, Oreo's creep spread has been pretty insane. Past the halfway point, exceeding towards the right and left hand corners of the map. Every single base is being taken as well. Oreo recognizing that he has to go for a more efficient fight, for a more longer game.
Yeah, and so as the Zerg player does in this position, he takes every single other base on the map right now.
Oh.
BCs. They throw out a couple of Yamatos, but it seems to be too late. He, at the very least, is able to teleport out with most of his, all of his BCs, actually.
All BCs do get saved. Meanwhile, Seither, I love his transition point from here. He is going into Ghosts, which will be a great response to Vipers, great response to Ultras, and great response to Broodlords. Because he sees the Corruptor count, he recognizes that Broodlords should be on the way soon.
just a great response all around.
It's like,
what about Ling Bane?
What about that Ling Bane? I mean, the tank count is getting higher and higher. Speaking of the Ling Bane, here we go. Oreo is pulling the trigger. He wants to try and deny this 5th base again.
Yeah, Banelings do crash into the siege line. A lot of tanks actually starting to go down. And it was a little bit costly for Oreo. A lot of Lings and a lot of Banelings that go down to that. Very gas intensive, but I think like 6 or 7 tanks got taken out, so worth it? Question mark?
Yeah, it was a trade, to say the least. A relatively even trade there from our Zerg player, but it was worth it because Seither now lands his CC, planetaries on the way, turrets are on the way. He is establishing his 5th base, so again, Oreo won't be able to deny it any longer. He's gonna have to back off, tech on up, work on his upgrades, and find another way in. Looks like he's going for that triangular third.
Yeah, just like he did yesterday. Not too many defenses here, just a planetary and a couple of tanks. Unsiege?
Yeah, we see a bit of an unsiege here, even on the tanks on the back line. Maybe a little bit of miscontrol as Ling Bane rolls on forward. The Ghosts are going to be able to force us back at the same time. BCs do go for a massive counterattack.
It is absolutely crucial right now for Seither. He is able to completely chip away at the mineral line here. Oreo down to only 63 drones.
Oh, I don't know if he's recognized that, but there we go. He's re-droning. He's trying to recoup his losses here. We even saw a couple Yamatos on this hatchery, which means that if the BCs go for another run by, they can Yamato it down.
The Lings slip on in this triangular third once again, and the orbital command will go down.
There we go. Just like last time, as you were saying, Oreo just time and time again hammering at this triangular third location. And Seither just is never quite in position. He does have tanks here in between his bases, but he is being spread thin. He still needs more tanks.
Yeah, plus, look at the creep spread over here right now for Oreo. Already just at the edge of the tanks.
Yeah, exactly. On both ends, on both sides. Meanwhile, Oreo shocking around once again. We do have a sensor tower, so Seither is fully aware of the army coming in, but he's not in position.
Not at all. A couple of Hellbats and a couple of Ghosts do retreat or do reposition themselves to this base, so Oreo... Seither this time will be able to keep the base alive.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, Oreo didn't have any overseers. He had 0 detection, so jumping onto those invisible ghosts just wasn't going to be possible. He has to back off, make that detection, and then come back around.
And speaking of coming back around, yeah, this is way too fortified of a position here.
Yeah, I have to wonder what exactly Oreo needs right now, because on the one hand, I do like the idea of Broodlords, but because the BCs are still alive, we can't morph too many of these Corruptors into Broodlords because we still need that anti-air. Likewise, we also need a way to lay siege upon the tanks of Seither, and without Broodlords, like, it's kind of hard to do so.
Yeah, he does have a Greater Spire, but you know, he doesn't really have much of a mineral bank to work with right now. I guess that's why Oreo is a little bit hesitant to start morphing his Corruptors and Broodlords. That and the fact that there are still BCs in the air being a threat. They just took out a hatchery of Oreo.
They really did. The hatchery went down alongside 3 of those drones. Oreo, I imagine, is going to be looking to replace this, but I just realized Oreo doesn't have a bank.
Yeah, he's got a lot of gas, but mineral income is definitely lacking quite a bit.
Yeah, it just goes to show he's been throwing away a lot of Lings here in these attacks, and he just hasn't been able to really get anything for them. I do think that it looks like Oreo has to go for an even like more passive style now. As he cleans up these Hellbats and takes another base, it's possible that his win condition should just be to deny the 6th base, which is now going to be on the way. Like, if Seither gets this up and running, like, Seither is going to have a lot of momentum. He's the one with the bank.
He absolutely is. You typically don't want the Terran player to even be on 5 bases here on Data C. When you do get to this position where you're turtling up so hard, but like you said, in Oreo's case, he does need to take things even slower than normal on this map, and he just needs to make sure that Seither doesn't mine from that 6.
Yeah, I mean, Oreo's triple expanding right now. He's taking every other base on the map. He forces a teleport from these BCs, but oh my god, they teleport on top of the army.
Oh, and the Biles do connect on a bunch of these BCs, but not enough to take it. Not enough to take any of them out, though.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, the entire middle line goes down. 14 workers, but the BCs did just teleport, so this is going to be the end of the BCs.
That it is. The planetary fortress will go down. The 6th base will not be up and running, but there are so many ghosts.
Oh my god.
Somebody get the copy cost already.
Oh no, the ghosts, they get even more snipes off. Almost every single corruptor goes down. To be fair, there's only one BC survived, so there was not a bad trade there for Oreo, but he doesn't have a bank. He doesn't have an economy right now. His worker count isn't where it needs to be. He can't replace what he just lost.
Yeah, not anytime soon anyway. He is very well upgraded at the very least, but so is Seither, in fairness.
Yeah, the upgrades are on point here for Seither. We do see that he is attempting to take the 6th base once again. Tanks are moving forward, ghosts are moving forward. I do think at this point Seither has just been a little bit too efficient, and I don't think that Oreo can do anything about it. I think that without mining from these bases right now, like, fighting is not going to be an option, because if he fights and if he trades too inefficiently, he's going to trigger a counterattack.
Oh, he may not be able to fight, but with these Brute Lords, I definitely think he can try to siege down that base. Here's Seither scanning the Brute Lords coming, though, and taking the initiative here.
Yeah, exactly. He's got the Ghost Mate. He's got the snipes. The Brood Lords are going to be focused down one after the other.
They just finish morphing in, and immediately they get popped out of the sky. GG is called. Seither will take game number 1.
GG, and a brutal game at that. To start off with a 2-port BC. Oh.
Yep.
Seither knows. He knows about his race. Oh my god. But yeah, it is a build that has been rising in popularity recently. Thank you, Gumiho.
Yep.
Has been making the rounds, and even though the 2-port BC didn't kill Oreo, it did deal enough damage to put Seither ahead economically, and he was pretty well fortified back at home, where he didn't sustain any counter damage at all either. Seither, he was doing a really good job at keeping those BCs alive until the very end, always just forcing Oreo to commit so much supply to those corruptors. Yeah,
and there comes a point where you hit there comes a point where you hit diminishing returns with corruptors. You know, you need a ton of them for anti-air, but if you build too many of them, then you're just way too vulnerable to the mech army in the ground. That's exactly what Seither knew. That's exactly what Seither did. Wrong map.
Yeah, and because of that, I worry a little bit about these maps that we're going to be seeing. So the vetoed maps were Cosmic Sapphire and Inside and Out. Those were the 2 vetoes, which means that there are certain maps that are available that are good for mech, to be honest. Stargazer, Tropical, and Moondance are all maps where the Terran player can expand a little bit more freely, can get their 3rd and 4th bases up a little bit more freely as well. If Seither wanted to, he could try and go mech every game, man.
The old Piglet style, eh?
Oh no.
I guess we're strapping ourselves in.
We're strap in, everyone. Here we go. We're diving into game number 2 for the first time in this qualifier weekend. Stargazers.
We finished the bingo.
We did?
Yeah. We are now going to be jumping straight into Stargazers. We're, of course, in the top right-hand corner map, starting all the way in that top right-hand corner. We have our red Zork player coming out from the land of Brisbane. He, of course, is going to be representing the CranKy Ducklings. He is Oreo.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Stargazers, we have the Australian Terran player himself representing Team Mindfreak, currently leading the series 1-0. It is Oreo.
Nope.
Go on.
I was gonna say, because we don't see this map so often, I've only now realized, like, does it look a little bit like Pan's Labyrinth?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I mean, yeah, it's been have we casted on this map before, like you and me together? We have, right?
like twice.
Yeah,
Something like that.
it's happened before, I'm sure. Oh god, I just love what's happening in the chat. Uncle Ben, he's back, he's here, and he's like, Shelly wants me to play, but he's playing Turtle Terran. Doesn't make any sense. This is making me stay away.
This is the origin story of Seither, man.
Yeah, he's creating a supervillain right now. Yeah, that was really well done by Seither in the first game. A really good use of his units overall. Also, shout out to Peppy in the chat. He did remind me that when I said 2-port BC, I think I said Runamuck versus Peppy, but it was Akon versus Peppy earlier today. The TvZs, they're all melding together. But yeah, again, Seither did a really good job at hiding his 2-port BC until the last moment. Oreo had a really hard time scouting that. But interestingly enough, as we get into this TvZ, Seither is not going for his pocket base as his natural.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, you could always save it for later. You can mine it out a little bit later on, and it's not that difficult to defend your natural here as a Terran player on Stargazers.
True. So he will be saving that for later on as the first Reapers across the map just kind of poking away. Oh, almost loses his life for it, but does survive in the end. Does confirm, okay, you do have a third hatchery here towards the south. And we are not going for a 1-1-1. We are we are so far going for that factory. We'll see if we see another 1-1-1 opener just like the previous game.
We do not see a 1-1-1 opener just like the last game. No, wait, yeah, we do.
So good, Choppy, so good. So yeah, it looks like we are getting that. We do see the tech lab here on the way as well for this Rax. I do not believe that this is going to be for another BC opener. Could even be for Banshees instead. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the most likely scenario here. If we do get that add-on switch, I guess an early stim is something that you sometimes see from Terran players when you do go for a 1-1-1, but yeah, Seither just way too efficient for that. He is swapping the add-ons. He is going to be getting his Banshees.
Yeah, exactly. Banshee's going to be coming out. We do see a Link Scout here, and the Link Scout does confirm the Tech Lab researching on that starport. Bearing in mind that last game as well, Seither did fake Oreo out with the fake stim, if you recall. But this time, Oreo isn't going to be faked out. He's coming in with his Overlord. He confirms both Tech Labs. He knows for sure, okay, this is just Banshees.
Yeah, we'll be able to confirm that with the Overlord. No Viking.
And no Viking at all. So Oreo is going to have a little bit more freedom here with his scouting, with his Overlord positioning as well. And yeah, this time Oreo is going to have all the scouting information he needs. He won't be caught off guard as Seither actually throws down 2 more Raxes.
Yeah, it's about the right timing, but I'm just a little bit concerned that we don't see a third CC yet for Seither.
Yeah, exactly. We have one eBay being thrown down as well. I'm feeling a 2-base push coming out from Seither. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on things here back on his side of the map. Meanwhile, Oreo, he's just droning up. He's, for the time being, none the wiser. Just working on his 4th base, working on his lair, working on his baleen nest.
Yeah, nice and safe opening.
Uh-oh.
Nice and safe tech choices for Oreo, but those are even more Raxes being thrown down before a third base. That's because the third base is not existent. It's a fabrication. It will not exist this game.
Yeah, with 3 Raxes already, we were like, mate, this is looking pretty sus. This is gonna be like a 2-base timing. Throws down 2 more. Alright, it's an all-in. It's
Yep.
Oh boy, so this is gonna hit hard here with +1. Again, there's a reason why we don't see 2 eBays, because we don't intend to go for 1-1 upgrades, because we don't intend for the game to go that long. Oreo has to scout this. He has to get eyes on this. Right now, he's playing in the dark. We do see the Banshee coming across the map, already picking up a couple of these workers, taking a lot of damage though, and eventually it will be cleaned up. But what's important is that this is keeping Oreo's attention at home.
Yeah, the Overseer will now dip into the main, and it will confirm the Raxes, the additional Raxes being thrown down, but is it too late? I don't think so. He already has the Baneling Nest. Does he have a lair yet?
He does have a lair, but he doesn't have Baneling speed. Unfortunately, he's prioritizing +1 melee right now. I do think that's a bit of a mistake. I saw the earlier Baneling nest earlier. And I was assuming he was going to rush out Baneling speed, but it is a little bit late in retrospect. These upgrades are on the way, but it's going to take a while for them to hit. I believe these upgrades will finish after this push.
Well, we'll see. Seither is being slowed down a little bit, but he's got 2 tanks, he's got his medevacs, he's got stim. That's exactly what he needs before pushing out.
Yeah, here we go. The move out is coming. Oreo is going to go for a little bit of a Ling scout, and he does confirm the move out does see the tanks as they move out across the map. Oreo getting drones? Oh, God. He may be misreading this a little bit, but I mean, now he knows 100% that there is a big push coming. He's making as many Banelings as possible. He's going for a Ling run by at the same time.
He needs a couple more Lings, and I think he'll really be safe, but if he's able to deflect this, you know, as long as he's able to connect his Banelings to those Marines, then I feel like this greed will pay off for Oreo. I mean, he's on double the base count right now. So.
Oh, yo, he's set up for a master round. The tank is siege. Oh, Oreo, he doesn't pull the trigger yet. We have another tank in the back line as well. Oreo has to be a little bit more patient than this. In a couple of seconds, in 10 seconds, Baneling speed finishes.
And he's fighting off creep, though. It's a little bit of an anti-timing, but there is only 1 tank. But apparently that's all you need when the Zergling buffer has been dealt with. Oreo, a little bit overzealous here, a little bit bloodlusted, and it does not work out for him.
Exactly. He does reset the tank count, which is nice, but that was a very costly fight. He lost so many Banelings to those tank shots. Shout out to Seither for that target fire. I do think that he was specifically targeting down those Banelings with his tank shots. And now Oreo, he's on the back foot. He's down in army supply. He does finish up his 1-1 upgrades, and that will come into play. That will help, but so much creep has already been cleaned up.
So much creep has been cleaned up. Once again, there's not much of a buffer remaining for these Banelings.
Yeah, exactly. We need more time here. Oreo has to buy said time. I mean, there's only 1 tank, so it's going to take a while for Seither to push in. Never mind, there are 2 tanks, and it is in position to cover both the main and the natural.
Seither right now just really wanting Oreo to push into the middle of this ravine. This is exactly where he's pre-split. This is exactly where he's setting up his trap. And Oreo should be aware of this now. He shouldn't be pushing into that position. He
wants to, though. He's setting up for a master round right now. He's going to try and come in from all angles. He's going to need his queens as well to help deal with these liberators. We do have more Lings and Banes on the way. Meanwhile, reinforcements are coming. Oreo going to try and catch them. He's actually, it almost looks like he's looking for a third.
Ugh. Yeah, little does he know that he's not going to get a third. Oh, man. This run by just completely shut down by the reinforcements of Seither. Yeah, and now he's going for it, but I don't think it's going to work out.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's going to work out either. There are too many Marines here. Seither.
Actually, yeah, I was going to say a bit of a move command, so a lot of Marines do get taken out, but reinforcements are coming in.
Yeah, the reinforcements are coming in. Oreo has been broken. The Ling Bane, the surround just wasn't good enough. We just had too many losses too early on. The snowball was real. And Seither, he's breaking on in. We do have some more Lings and Banelings to reinforce here, but it is an uphill battle for Oreo.
Yeah, literally and figuratively, since Seither does have the high ground here.
Yeah, he does. The Marines, they stim on forward. The spores are a little bit too ambitious, a little bit too late. The Marines are breaking on forward here, and Seither takes a 2-0 lead.
Unfortunate situation here for Oreo. Did misread what Seither was doing a couple too many times. You know, he thought for sure Seither was going to be honorable, you know, like him. He was going to play out more of an economic game. You can even see he was fishing for a third multiple times, but in the end, he honestly was prepared for the all-in at the start. He had a lot of Lings, he had a lot of Banelings, he had what he needed to defend, but he did get a little bit overzealous. He did push a little bit too far off of creep, and coupled with the fantastic target firing of Seither, just had to be a little bit more patient, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we saw the anti-timing, right? We saw Oreo pull the trigger like 10 seconds before he had Baneling speed, and Baneling speed would have made the world of difference there. Like, God, he just needs to wait a little bit longer, and alas, one little mistake will cost you the game. Bearing in mind this is the best of 5, Oreo can fight back here, but it's, again, he has to win every single game moving on forward.
He does. He needs to make that reverse sweep happen.
Yeah. Boy, the
And
reverse.
and that's a tough ask, to say the least. Once a player gets a little bit of momentum in a series, it's usually a little difficult to force them to give it up.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, a really nice play from Seither, a really good decision making to go for this very committed 2-base all-in. And like the previous game, he was able to keep this hidden for a very long time. He was able to deny scouting for Oreo. We saw Oreo even joining up towards like the beginning of that push, not necessarily piecing it all together until it was moving out across the map. Yeah, really making use of the short rush distance on Stargazers.
I guess that's why we see that map vetoed a lot more.
Oh,
I wish it wasn't, but... It is the unfortunate reality here. And speaking of reality, we're going to be continuing our series on Tropical Starfish. Yeah, Sacrifice. We're in the top right-hand quarter of the map, spawning all the way to the top right-hand quarter. We have our red Zerg player coming out from the land of Brisbane and facing a very, very uphill battle here. He's win this map, then the map after this, then the map after that to be able to qualify. He is Oreo.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tropical Sacrifice, we have the Australian Terran player himself representing Team Mindfreak. It is Seither.
And we just got an update here on the bracket of Seither. Looks to be going for a little bit of a cheeky barracks placement. Runamuck did take out Faz 3-0.
Oh, and there we go. Runamuck is going to be qualifying for PAX Australia. Faz had a great showing, making it all the way to a qualifying match. Faz, more of a ladder hero amongst the Australian scene, but alas, he couldn't really take it to Runamuck in the end in that TvT. So congratulations to Josh. Runamuck, he makes it.
Old mate Josh.
Oh, mate Josh. Oh, boy. So now we are down to here. We have 3 qualified players. We have Runamuck, we have Peppy, we have Pez. Now it comes down to both Seither and to Oreo.
Which one is going to be the 4th today and the final player to qualify for PAX Super South?
Yeah,
we're about to find out that Seither goes for a cheeky 2-on-1.
Yeah, he's going for a 2 racks opener here. So again, Seither coming in very prepared for this series. Every game so far going for a bit of a different strategy. Again, I think he knows that if he plays a more standard macro game, I mean, that's what happened yesterday. And Oreo did have a lot more success in that kind of position, in that kind of scenario. So Seither mixing things up here, very different.
We'll see if Oreo is going to be able to react well enough to this. He has been very vigilant when it comes to scouting so far in this series, and he has a propensity to just make a lot of links regardless. So hopefully this works out for him once again, but we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, so Oreo, he makes his first additional 4 lings. Upon recognizing that no Reaper is going to show up, he's sending his 2 lings across the map to try and figure out what exactly is going on. Like, why did you exactly skip your Reaper? Or did you even skip your Reaper? So lings are going to come out, maybe a little bit of damage, going to confirm these Marines at least. And they should even confirm, or they may even, again, recognize that, okay, there aren't going to be any Hellions coming out. This is not a 1-1-1.
It is in fact going to be a 2-1. I'm waiting for the extra 1, but yeah, we don't have a starport just yet.
Yeah, and there we go. With this scout, he confirms the reactor on the racks, so now he knows 100% that it's either going to be a 2-on-1 or a 3 racks, one or the other. Oreo, knowing this, can be a little bit greedier early on because there aren't going to be any Hellions to slow him down. There aren't going to be any Hellion dives or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be too greedy though, because if he doesn't have enough Lings to defend against Marines, well, what are drones and queens going to do against stimmed bio?
Yeah, exactly. I think the other thing to bear in mind is that this is going to hit a little bit faster as well because we were a little bit more efficient with our opener when it comes to Seither. So he has to be careful about that. We do see the Overlord dipping on in, does get eyes on that starport and the factory.
If he wasn't sure before, he definitely is now. 2-on-1 is coming his way, and it is something he's got to prepare for. More and more queens are coming out. Oreo, let's try to see what he can get away with his initial wave of Lings. The answer is not a whole lot. That's a lot of Marines.
Yeah.
That blocked up.
This was a little bit ambitious for Oreo to make all these Lings this early. Right now, these should have been drones. It looks like Oreo was hoping that maybe the front door would be left unattended and he could be a little bit sneaky. But Seither is a little bit too wise to that. Again, just a bit of an ambitious move from Oreo, and because of that, it's going to take a little bit longer for him to drone up. Now he has hit that 50 drone count, so from here we should be seeing nothing but Lings, nothing but Banes.
Nothing but queens. Well, no, he's done making queens.
Yeah, we got one more queen on the way. It's okay. It's all good. It's all good. We do see his Lings moving out as well. Looks like we see more of a beyond approach to this as Seither is moving out with his with his Marines first, clearing out whatever he can, starting that move out as the Medevacs will meet him in the middle of the map.
And the Medevacs will meet him with an additional couple of Marines as well. It's definitely a much more aggressive approach to this 2-on-1, but aggression is absolutely what you need to pull this off.
Exactly, and actually I'm pretty sure Oreo missed this drop, so he's a little bit in the dark. His army is repositioning here on the right hand side. Banelings are already morphed in, more Lings are on the way as well. Oreo taking this very seriously. This double drop shouldn't do too much damage. Oreo should be prepared for this, but depending on the control, depending on the micro, maybe Seither can target fire the Banelings, maybe he can catch a couple of queens.
Yeah, we'll see. A lot of Lings are out right now, though. Nice target fire on a couple of Banelings, but yeah, it's just too much Zerg for Seither to really deal with. The priority for this drop, however, is not necessarily to get huge damage. It's not necessarily to win a fight. It's a clear creep and stay alive, and so far Seither has done one of those things.
Yeah, stayed alive, and now he is clearing that creep. Meanwhile, Oreo is starting to transition. He recognizes that he can defend against this push, so droning has commenced. We have +1 carapace on the way. We should be seeing a second Evo chamber. Lair is on the horizon as well. So yeah, everything is just on the way here for Oreo, and likewise, Seither is looking to take his third.
Just like so. We do see a transition out from this. Seither this time is going to be playing bio. But just because he's playing bio doesn't mean he's not going to turtle. Again, Tropical Sacrifice lends itself really well to those kind of TvZs.
Yeah, all things considered, I do think that Oreo is looking pretty good here in the early to mid game, and I do think that this is the most comfortable he's been this entire series. There's no 2-port BC, there's no 2-base all-in, like there's a third base, and Oreo is going to confirm the third base with his Ling. So yeah, a more standard macro game. Meanwhile, Oreo getting ready for a massive counterattack at the same time. We do have a double drop, a triple drop, a quadruple drop on the right-hand side.
Yeah, Oreo has to make a decision, and he will commit to the aggression here. On this third base, he will wipe out half a mineral line, but now he has to turn back around and defend.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have any Banelings here to defend, by the way. The Marines are going to stim on forward. Can they get the hatchery? They're going to focus it down, and they will get the fourth.
Oof. Unfortunate start here, and a fantastic pick off Seither.
Yeah, exactly. So Seither loses mining at his third, and he loses a bunch of SCVs. At the same time, a bit of a Ling runway is going to catch a decent amount of these Marines, but no, they get saved by the Medevacs.
Always got to appreciate those hot pickups coming down. Nice and efficient trade here for Seither, but Oreo is not done. Not quite yet.
Yeah, exactly. He's forced to expand here towards the southern side instead. Oreo is still stuck on 3 bases. This is dangerous. We have another double drop headed in that direction. Oreo isn't quite in position to defend. He's kind of thinking, he's trying to catch this drop. He's well aware of the positioning of this army. He wants to make sure he doesn't get caught out and he doesn't, there isn't, say, a doom drop into the main.
Like so.
And we have a couple of Lings in position. The Ling Bane, though, here at the third base instead. And it looks like Oreo is going to catch wind. And there we go. He reacts. But he's actually going to react towards this double drop.
Yeah, once again, Seither really showing off the power of his multi-prong harasses. A lot of links sent down to deal with this drop, but this is not what Oreo should be focusing on right now.
Yeah, exactly. The target firing is just too good. The drop in the main base is getting out of control, and in one fell swoop, Seither is breaking into the main.
And he is targeting down the lair! That's so much tech concentrated here right now for Oreo. He could even take out the spawning pool if he wanted to.
If he wanted to take down the pool, he could. He's forcing Oreo all in, but it may just be too late. He's being pulled apart by these drops, by this aggression. Tropical Sacrifice Oreo is just spread too thin, losing 15 workers and his lair.
That is a loss, to say the least.
Yeah, that is definitely a lot of damage made, and from here, I don't know if there is going to be a way to come back. The target firing is just a little bit too good. Seither very strong here with his control. Hot pickup going towards from that third base in towards the main as well, and right now Oreo only has Ling Bane to work with, and unfortunately he just hasn't been able to keep up with these rotations, with these drops.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to say he has to go all in at this point, but look at the army supply difference.
Yeah.
I don't think he could even pull that off.
Exactly, like the macro from Seither has been insane. GG gets called, and Seither will take the series 3-0 and qualify for PAX Australia.
Very, very nicely done. Well played here from Seither, avenging himself or redeeming himself from yesterday. Really goes to show how strong and how on point he can be when he is well rested.
Yeah, exactly. A more well-rested Seither is a terrifying thing. We saw Seither just completely, especially in the first two games, just have a really good game sense when it came to what builds to go for overall. And here in game number 3, something a little bit more normal and straight up, but just really flexing with his skills there to go for the multi-prong aggression and pull Oreo apart. Wow, really strong showing here by Seither.
Micro 10.
Gee.
WTL.
GG. So congratulations, Seither. He is going to be the final player to qualify here. Another Terran, of course.
As is tradition.
As of course. So he will qualify here alongside Runamuck, alongside Pez, and alongside Peppy.
Yeah, those are 4 players from today. Once again, our 8 players who will be competing over at PAX Super South will be Probe, Piglet, Chappie, Azure, Pez, Peppy, Runamuck, and Seither.
There you go. Congratulations to our 8 qualified players. It was a grueling qualifier. It was very intense, very cutthroat. Oh god, the seeding was involved as well. But at the end of the day, the players that qualified, they are deserving to be there in that main event. They are some of the best players, and the best of the best in all of Australia. Oh, and I'm sure they're going to make for an amazing tournament.
Yeah, if you look at the 8 players on the bracket or who did qualify for PAX, I don't think you could look at that and say that any of them caused an upset in the qualifiers. Like, I'm hoping that there will be an upset over in the actual event itself. You know, I'm always cheering for my boy Chappie. But yeah, the players who are going to PAX are players who you would typically expect. Unfortunately, there are just a couple more players who you would also expect that haven't quite made it here. Yeah,
that's why it's so brutal, is that PAX Australia is only 8 players. You know, only 8 players are able to be a part of it, despite the fact that there are arguably more players that are deserving to be there in that event itself. So yeah, it is just the way the event is, and regardless, it is going to be an amazing tournament nonetheless. So be sure to be there over on the weekend, next Sunday, a week from now, on the 9th of October or 8th of October. 9th. There is, of course, going to be that LAN event in Melbourne, Australia. So book your tickets. Be sure you're there in the crowd. Maybe book some flights over as well, just to be a part of the crowd, just to be a part of the community. It's going to be an amazing time.